Hello, folks, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing. I am bright and breezy, chirpy as a bird. You two lads were out on the Randan last night. How are you feeling, Josh? Are you looking slightly worse for wear? I must be honest with you.
I don't feel it. Sorry to hear that. No, I actually came in a little bit earlier than Derek and Clark Senior because I needed to be at the stadium at 9 a.m. this morning for some TV stuff. So I behaved myself as I normally do. But it was nice.
Where were you appearing?
I was just doing a bit of Sky this morning from the stadium, looking ahead to the game, which was nice. Get a feel for the stadium, pick up accreditation and whatnot. So I was actually speaking to the lady at the accreditation centre there, and she was saying the area we are staying in is the most beautiful local bit of Seville. So we've picked a good spot.
I'm taking the credit for that, Johnny.
Well, to be fair, I'm also taking a bit of the credit because I took one look at it and said, okay. Make it happen. But you did find it. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Right. So, and Derek, did you have a few beers last night? I mean, it's hard to tell with those shades. You're always sort of hiding behind them. I know you pretend that it's about focal length.
Prescription. Yeah, just to get this straight, I'm looking at the comments coming in, and it's for the good of the show, Johnny, that I'm reading the comments coming in. If I take these off, I'm blind as a bat. So there's health reasons why I've got these sunglasses on. Not to mention it's absolutely sweltering again. The sun is shining, not a cloud in the sky. So the shades are on. I'm afraid, but yeah, a few beers had last night. A couple of bottles of vino. El Vino did flow last night, Johnny. We were out, of course, that the last night's show was a belter. We had Ali Bain on, of course, so we went out with Ali and his dad last night. Frequented a lovely little tapas restaurant. We actually lost an outside table to the first Frankfurt fans I've seen in Seville. So they managed to get in before us. So hopefully that's the only victory they'll be toasting over the next couple of days, is getting our table at the restaurant. But great night I had by all.
And a good guest on tonight. Tonight's show at 6 p.m.
Yeah, fantastic guest on tonight, folks. We've got Heart and Hand's own David Edgar joining us this evening. So from 6 p.m, roughly around 6 p.m, we'll go live UK time. If you're in Spain, 7 p.m. Time is when myself, Joshua, and David Edgar will be going live just to look ahead to the big one tomorrow. It's amazing to think it's one more sleep, Johnny. It feels like Christmas Eve. Today, I think, is going to drag in a little bit. But I've seen went out for a bit of breakfast earlier on. Loads of Rangers fans now dotted around the place, and a good number of them wearing that next season's third jersey, that orange jersey that the club have brought out. So that's proving to be very popular. But yeah, David Edgar joining myself and Joshua tonight, so looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm not in the least bit jealous, guys. Honestly, I'm loving it here in Drenched, Glasgow. It's great. It's great. Right.
What's the weather like over there, Johnny?
Sorry?
What's the weather like over there?
Shut up. A word from our sponsors, One Football, the One Football app, which is an absolutely superb one-stop shop for your football needs. You can go on there and you can track your team as it happens in play, get live updates sent to your phone, and it doesn't have to be Rangers. We know that many of you are Chelsea fans as well as Rangers fans. Some of you are Manchester United fans or Man City fans or AC Milan fans. We're all inclusive here in terms of international league, Serie A, La Liga, and the app is the same. You can choose any football team from across Europe and get those notifications to your phone. On top of that, you get all this extra content, loads of news stories, features. They're all under the team name. You get loads of content in there, and it's absolutely fantastic. So go and download that now. You can see the link in the description, and that will take you directly to that app. Right, now that I've done my bit, let's get fired into some of the red meat. First things first, as everyone who'll know who's been watching this show, we have been banging on and on and on about our superb subscription deal. It is superb. The deal is still there, and it's still superb in the sense that £6, you pay up front, 6 months coverage, bish bash bosh, done. Right? Still great. But we did have a pretty special deal on that finished last night, which was the winner of our competition from our subscribers got 2 tickets to the final. And I've just been on a call with our winner, Natalia Walters, who was taken aback to win tickets. She's on her way to Seville. She's still in Glasgow, but she's on her way to the airport in an hour and a half. She's going with her dad, with her boyfriend, and with a couple of other family members. So now she's got to worry about the fact that there's going to be a scrap because no one's got tickets. It's just her. She's got 2 tickets. And she says, the only thing I can assure you is I'll be bloody going. So, yes, now it's going to be interesting between the dad and the boyfriend. You know, it's going to be some manoeuvring there as to who gets the ticket, I think. But well done to Natalie there. She's done fantastically well to get that. So, superb. And we'll be talking to her later on. So, yeah, unlucky to all you guys who joined, subscribed, and didn't win. But we'll be having more competitions in the months ahead. Perhaps maybe not quite as good as this one. But we hope that the content makes up for the failure to win. But well done, Natalie, for that. And good travels on your way to Spain.
I'm sure we'll have one for the Super Cup, Johnny.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We've got to think about the Super Cup, and we're quite certain we'll have the same level of interest in getting to Helsinki. Problem with Helsinki, Derek, is it's slightly more expensive for beers. I mean, you were saying in your video yesterday, I was watching your Facebook Live, €1.50 for a pint. I don't think the same is going to be the case in Finland somehow.
No, I've not actually checked out the price of beer in Finland, but I'll make sure I do that come Thursday, I'd imagine, when we'll look ahead to that Super Cup final. But yeah, €1.50 a pint just outside the ground, folks. So if you're heading to the game tomorrow night, there's a little bar and it's a lovely little walk up, like a kilometre walk, straight road right up to the ground. Loads of little bars dotted around, and just outside, €1.50 I spotted yesterday. There was a number of Rangers fans in there, of course, taking advantage of that offer. So make sure you head in there if you're heading to the game tomorrow. You can't argue with that, Johnny. €1.50.
Yeah, absolutely. That is sensational. And you guys are obviously enjoying life out there. In many ways, lads, you're professional journalists, but you've also grown up supporting the club. It must be something of a dream to be covering the team in this scenario. It's a scenario that at the start of the season you would never have imagined. I'm going to go to you with this one first, Joshua, because this is your first season as a full-time journalist. Yeah. It is downhill from here. You're never going to get another season like this. You've had a managerial change in the European Cup final. Downhill. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, no, obviously, you're right, Johnny. It is we're very privileged to be able to go to the game and work at it, but being Rangers supporters as well, there's that added emotion to it. Derek was in Manchester. I wasn't. My dad didn't take me down to Manchester because I was 8 at the time, or 9 at the time. So it's certainly not something really I thought I'd see in my lifetime, and certainly didn't, expect to be there. So it's been great to just kind of soak it up. Get here for a few days beforehand, and I think it'll probably only hit us tomorrow, Johnny, because I kind of had that when we got to the away leg in the semi-final. You think, wow, watching Rangers in the semi-final of a European competition, this is really special. And probably not until that music comes on tomorrow and we're in the stadium will we maybe understand the size of this achievement, just getting there. And but obviously to win it would be so much better than just taking part.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a question from John Crawford there, Derek. Thinking about the team lineup for tomorrow night, is there any information on Ryan Jack? Don't think there's any issue with Ryan Jack, is there? I think
no.
Good to go.
No, I think for me, we touched on this last night. For me, it's the Ross County team minus Alex Lowry for Ryan Jack, who comes in. Now, there is a pre-match press conference later on, Johnny. Ryan Jack's been put up for the press alongside James Tavernier and Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, so we can pose them questions. But I'd imagine there's no issue with Ryan Jack. You play him in the final, surely. I don't think there's any unsuspecting injury or anything like that there. I know he didn't play against Ross County. I think he's just been wrapped in cotton wool for this game. You don't want to risk him, of course, because you all know his injury record. He's been plagued by injuries in recent years, so it's all about just keeping them fresh and keeping them ready for Frankfurt tomorrow night, I think.
And he said, John, Van Bronckhorst said at the last press conference just on that when he was speaking about Ruth and Ryan Jack, he effectively said Jack will make it. It's just he had that knock, and he obviously didn't want to play him in the couple of league games beforehand. So, and the fact that he's doing the press as well, I mean, I think he'll definitely be in that starting lineup.
Yeah, Ryan Beattie said the Burnside Loyal are about to be on our way via Manchester, Alicante, and Madrid. I am in Burnside. That is just that is
still time, mate. Still time.
That's painful. That's painful to hear, Ryan. I've got to be honest that you're on your way and I'm stuck here. But here we go. Listen, the website needs to run. You know, people have paid for it. You know, we need to be realistic. You can't just all be having fun like you.
Taking one for the team, Johnny.
Indeed, I am. Indeed, I am. So, who do we take for next season? Lewandowski or Suarez? Hard to say Lewandowski at this time in the morning. Guys, I'm taking either of those. I want Gareth Bale.
Yeah, I think you went on record about your love for Gareth Bale, Johnny. Listen, stranger things have happened. I think no one could envisage Aaron Ramsey joining Rangers, especially
not you, Derek.
No. Come January, I was I got that one spectacularly wrong. So it wouldn't surprise me if Gareth Bale looking for a club. It's surprising how long he's been at Real Madrid. It's mental when you think about it. But I think he's heading for pastures new. And if Rangers can give him Champions League football next season, then I'm sure there's worse options for him out there. Not to mention, as we've touched on, Johnny, going to Scotland, it's golf courses galore. We know how much he loves a game of golf, Gareth. So it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, absolutely. People are saying not Barrie McKay, Johnny. Well, listen, everyone knows that I'm a big fan of Barrie McKay. Obviously, an incredibly talented player. But, do I think he could be a good player for Rangers? Yes, I do. Where does he fit in the squad? It's a difficult one. Joshua, you've got something to say on Barrie McKay. Fire away.
I just don't think Rangers should sign him. I mean, he's good. Move on, Johnny. You got to move on. You know, look, that was a 2016 player. No worries. Good player though. Good player, but I don't think he's going to come in and
No. I take that on board. I just without going into the detail of it, right? I grew up watching Football Italia on Channel 4, and I've always loved players who carry the ball, players who have got a bit about them in terms of skill. I'm not one of these guys that likes players that are, hard, tacklers. I was talking to Twitter with people last night, and they were waxing lyrical about Kevin Thompson. And I respect Kevin Thompson as a Rangers player. He gave us all. But he's just not my kind of player. Barry Ferguson was much more my kind of player. I like guys who can take the foot on it, spray it about. I think, Joshua, you're the same. Derek, I don't know what your take on this is. Maybe it's a generation.
Derek loves a utility man because he was telling me just before we went on air that was his position at 11s. He was filling wherever.
That normally means he was gash. That's what I can use. Rubbish, should I say?
We were saying I asked Derek, and I don't know if Ali will be watching this morning, but Ali, who was on last night, I said to Derek, because Derek and Ali grew up together, who was a better player growing up? And Derek said about even. So,
okay.
Contentious.
Okay. While we're talking about players that might arrive next season, Billy Gilmour would suit. Guys, would you take Billy Gilmour on loan?
Listen, I think this is going to be the who was the player that was linked with Rangers every single transfer window, almost like a Alan Smith, Robbie Fowler sort of thing. Willie Won't every summer just because of that Rangers link. I don't know. I think Billy Gilmour will have a number of options in the summer. I don't think he's getting in the Chelsea team as yet, but he can do a whole lot better than Norwich City. It's not quite worked for him there. Norwich, a bit of a yo-yo club, of course. I don't think that the style of football suited him, but I think there'll be a clamour of clubs, Johnny, that are going to want to take him. Not to mention there'll be teams abroad that will fancy Billy Gilmour. You mentioned Serie A. He would fit right into a team in Italy, no problem whatsoever. So I think it's a bit far-fetched if Rangers can get him. But again, you never know. There's a Rangers link there. Is, of course, again, if Rangers can promise him Champions League football, then we all know his family are well, I think it's his mum that's a massive Rangers supporter. I'm sure she'll be sort of in his ears telling him here, if the chance was to come back up to Ibrox on, which would be a loan deal. Let's face it, that wouldn't be a permanent contract, you'd imagine. Then I'm sure she'll be in his ear, but he'll have a host of options, I'd imagine, then come the summer.
Yeah, Scottish Taco saying, forget the Europa League final. We need a 1v1 Derek versus Ali on Seville rooftops.
I'll make it happen.
We have a football there, don't we?
No, I don't think we do. I mean, sure, we could source one.
Yeah,
sure, we could source one.
I will try and make that work for you, Scottish Taco. That might work out for everyone involved. Some good content for us, some comedy value for the viewers back at home. Another one where we're talking about transfers, guys. Keep these questions coming because we've got 2 shows to fill, so we don't want to, we don't want to keep our powders reasonably dry for tonight. So any questions you have, fire them in. Another one here from Duncan. He's saying Lewis Ferguson would be a good addition. Now,
that's another one, Johnny.
This is one that comes up all the time. However, I do think Lewis Ferguson is a good player. Josh, I'll be interested to hear what you think of this because there's no doubt Lewis Ferguson has got the graft to make it work at Rangers. The question for me is, does he have the silk, the ability to take the ball in tight areas that marks out a Rangers player? I know from having spoken to Mark Allen, he was instrumental in putting in a kind of Rangers DNA profile for the players that the club brings in. And I'm pretty sure that they still have that Rangers identity. It might be tweaked from when Mark Allen was there, but that's still something that they do. Do you think Lewis Ferguson fits that sort of DNA profile that they have?
Well, I think you need to look at, obviously that's probably changed since the new manager has arrived. You need to look at the profile of midfielders that Rangers have at the club at the moment. If you think of players that will definitely be there next season, you've got Lundstrom, Jack, Sands, and Kamara. And I don't think what you need to add in to that quartet is another player who probably, if Lewis Ferguson was to come in and play at Rangers, I don't think he'd play as high up the pitch as he does for Aberdeen. I don't think he's going to come in and replace Joe Rebo in the creative role or take the spot of Alex Lowry, who will hopefully play a lot more games in the midfield next season. So it's one of the, I think there's around a discussion like this, sometimes there's a reluctance to sign Scottish players, and there's a lot of sense in it. Rangers have had some success within it. And do we know if he's good enough? I mean, there's so many variables in that. You look at Ryan Jack, for example, coming from Aberdeen and how successful a Rangers career he's had.
Let me tell you, there's a lot of people, prominent people, who said Ryan Jack wasn't good enough for Rangers.
Yeah, and players fulfill different roles, and you look at Scott Wright, for example. We were speaking about this on one of the many podcasts we've done on the channel. When Scott Wright arrived from Aberdeen last season, and certainly this season, there was the initial excitement with him. I think when he had longer in the team, you started to see his limitations. And before he arrived at Rangers, he hadn't actually played that much consistent first team football. But what I think you see within the role he played, certainly in the home leg of the Leipzig tie, was he was fulfilling a role. And if you put Scott Wright out wide and you isolate his delivery all the time, as we were saying last night, I think you see that maybe he's not good enough to be Rangers' first choice right winger. But again, if it's circumstantial, if he's fulfilling the role, if he's got certain structures around him, and you're getting the best out of him in terms of his pace, his directness, and his ability to turn inside the pitch, but then you're maybe not isolating him and isolating his final ball all the time, then it can work. So obviously there's lots of elements to that discussion, but I think on the Lewis Ferguson question, probably not the profile of midfielder that Rangers need, especially to kind of evolve into the type of football that Van Bronckhorst wants to play domestically.
Yeah, I want to thank Scotty D, because this is the question that Derek has been waiting for. It's literally the question that only he can properly answer in all of Scottish sports media. So, Derek, Dapo Afolian, I think that's how you pronounce it. Afolian is tipped to join from Bolton in the papers for £1.5 million. Never heard of him. Well, you obviously don't follow Derek on Twitter because he's a bit of a fanboy. Anyone else know him? Can you tell us, Derek, first of all, why do you know about this guy? And secondly, what's he like?
Right, okay, so he plays for Bolton, of course. Bolton managed to get him from West Ham not January 2021. So the back end, not last season, but the season before. He's had his first full season now for Bolton, and he finished top goal scorer. He's like a sort of, he can play a number 10, he can play all across at the front three, Johnny. He's played as a sort of false 9, if you like, winger type, number 10, you name it. He can play across any position across the front. And he's just a terrific player. Don't get me wrong, he had a period during the season when things weren't coming off for him. He was almost trying too hard, and I think he was carrying a niggling little injury, and he went out of the team. He came back in, and he's just been top class. He's too good for League One, where Bolton currently are. And if Rangers can manage to get him for £1.5 million, for me, that's a steal. He's a very level-headed chap. He's in his early 20s, and I think he's 24 now. He played non-league for a number of years, so he's taken the sort of right avenue in terms of football education, and he's playing for Bolton now. He's loving it at Bolton Wanderers. The fans love him. He's a right crowd pleaser. He's a player that sort of gets you off your feet. Similar to Ryan Kent, I would say, maybe not the same blistering pace, but in terms of being able to beat a man, great trickery, can shoot from all angles, and like I say, top goal scorer this season. And he knows how to wind up the opposition, Johnny. He's the most fouled player in League One last season. You see opposition coaches and players and fans going bananas over him. I think he goes down a little too easy at times, but he knows how to play the game, and he's a cracking player for Bolton Wanderers. Whether he can make the step up for Rangers remains to be seen. Of course, it was his first real full season in men's football last season. But I'm not surprised Rangers are looking at him. In terms, I mean, you're looking at Ryan Kent. Will he go in the summer? If he does go, then I wouldn't be too unhappy to see Atherline arrive at Ibrox in the summer if that were the case. But
he had a few beers last night, to be fair, CGM.
Listen, he's a good player. He's a good player. I would have no qualms about bringing him in. I think he's a right good talent. Probably alongside Ricardo Santos, who's Bolton Wanderers captain. Those two are the key players for them, and they're looking to keep hold of them in the summer if they're going to mount a serious challenge to get back into the Championship next season. So a lot of Bolton fans that I hear of feel that £1.5 million is too cheap for him, but you need to factor in they are playing in League One at the moment, so there is that. You need to sort of consider it as well. But for me, yeah, thumbs up for me for Atherline.
Yeah. So, right, okay. Listen, there's a slightly more difficult subject I want to just touch on is I noticed there's been quite a lot of controversy floating around about the use of Rangers legends to sort of urge fans to behave, take care. It's a difficult one because I understand people feel like they're being patronised, but at the same time, for me, guys, the club have to do absolutely everything to show they're being proactive. And I understand some of the levels that they're going to. It's quite incredible, to be honest. They really are working behind the scenes furiously with the various stakeholders, both in Scotland and in Seville, to make sure this really is the festival of football that we all want it to be. It's a difficult one because fans don't like to be told to behave in that way because they feel like, well, I'm going to be, of course I'm going to behave, but perhaps the message isn't necessarily for your usual fan. It's for people that are maybe not thinking it through fully. They've come to Seville. It's really, really hot. They've been traveling all day. Just things like basic things like if you've had a few beers, you don't think about, I suppose, like making sure you're properly hydrated, making sure you've had a bit to eat, making sure that you're putting sunscreen on. These are all things that are going to affect people when they get to such a hot place. For a start, is that a fair comment?
Let me dive in here.
Josh puts the mic down for this one.
I know. I have been wearing my sunscreen. That is all I'll say.
And I've been wearing mine. I'm still sort of the same colour as I arrived. So far, so good, Johnny. But yeah, you can see why the club are doing it. They just want to send a message out there that for fans to behave. Not seeing any trouble. I've got a feeling that the Frankfurt and the Rangers fans are just going to get on and there won't be any trouble in the city. So far, we've not seen anything like that. Like I say, the Frankfurt fans last night, a bit of jovial atmosphere. I've seen a couple of videos as well where they're sort of partying together. But yeah, it's just, I mean, it's absolutely roasting outside. Just make sure you're seeking shade and you are drinking plenty of water. And But yeah, you can see why the club are doing it. I seen the video from Chris Sutton last night, which you need to hold your hand up. It was quite funny with regards to that. But listen, it's
I mean, Sutton is. I don't think any of us are fans of Sutton.
No.
But it's a bit of light-hearted trolling, I think, which is, if you get upset about that, then probably it's best to just take
folks should know how to behave, though, Johnny. They shouldn't need to be told to behave when they go on these trips. They should have a bit of common sense about them. We all know that there will be a minority who take it too far at times, but let's hope that is we don't see any of that over here. But so far, it's been nothing but good things to say about the fans that we've seen over here, all having a good time.
Yeah, it was. To be honest, it was seeing Joshua after 2 pints that worried me more than anything else. In that heat,
and traveling. Yeah, it was long. It's tiring when you're working out here. Actually, that's the thing. It is. Yesterday was quite a long day. Today is a long day.
Yeah.
So we're not, obviously we're not just sunning ourselves, Derek, are we? We're
working
earning
hard.
our wage. Yeah. So, but no, it's such a nice place. Honestly, like we're in the kind of local bit, if you will, and
there's the flag coming down.
It was inevitable that was going to happen at some point. In this,
that backdrop looks less fun now, doesn't it? Yeah, that's sorted for tonight. But yeah, hopefully everyone. I think there'll be a lot more people coming over today. Some people coming tomorrow as well. Friend of the show, Stevie Clifford, who will be on tomorrow. It's tomorrow Wednesday. Yeah, tomorrow. He's heading over tomorrow. So it's only going to get busier. And as Derek says, the atmosphere's been very jovial. The only bad reaction we've seen was that Frankfurt fan stealing our table at the restaurant.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you. I'm sure you told them off.
Yeah, no uncertainty. I was going to kick off, Johnny, but I was held back.
Listen, we've got Derek Ferguson coming on here. I hope this is not Lewis's dad raging about some of the things that have been said about his son on this video. I think a big factor in the game will be the heat, estimated to be 30 degrees at kickoff time. Guys, is that the case?
Yeah, listen, Johnny. See, might have came on yesterday and I said that the night before it was quite chilly at night time for like the second half starting. Last night was muggy. It was clammy. And it was more uncomfortable for the players, I'd imagine, last night. So it remains to be seen what it's going to be like tomorrow. It may have a bearing. A number of the Rangers players, though, have played in temperatures like this. I mean, you look at the Joe Rebo and Calvin Bassey have played for Nigeria, of course, Leon Balogun as well, and Glenn Kamara's. But a lot of these players have played abroad in sweltering conditions and uncomfortable heat, so I don't think it's going to have too much of a bearing. It's the guys like it's energy sapping. That's the only thing. Guys like that run about, like Scott Wright and all that. That's the sort of guys you would worry for, I'd imagine. But it just depends. Who knows what it's going to be? The first night we got here it was ideal conditions. Second night, last night, as I mentioned, was a tad uncomfortable.
And the core of this team, Johnny, has obviously played, as we said last night, away in Portugal and whatnot, and is a quite an experienced European side to this point. A lot of them play international football. I think the heat might come into consideration when, as Ali made the point last night, do you start Aaron Ramsey or do you save it for 60 minutes when he can come on, make those 5 or 6 sprints and use his energy well then? But I think, this is a team full of internationals, a team full of players who have played at this level of competition for a while. So although it'll be a factor, fingers crossed it's not too much of a dictating factor on the actual product. Yeah,
okay. There's a lot of people coming back about saying about the heat and basically saying that the players have already shown that they have energy levels through the roof. That's Sonny Boy. Curry Muncher says heat will be a factor for both teams, not as if Germany has an advantage. I think Germany is a bit hotter in the summer, but in quite a lot of the major parts of the country. However, obviously, they also have one hell of a winter. I was in Berlin in February once when it was negative 28 degrees. So let me tell you, yeah, they know a thing or two about the cold. Right, listen, let's wrap this up, guys. We're going to come back on at 6 o'clock. Everyone be aware that if you want some more action, we'll be back with the two boys and David Edgar. I will not be here for that, but I'm sure it'll be a cracking video. They'll be on for an hour, taking your questions, taking your comments, and of course, just having a general chat about all things Rangers. With 1 day to go, I mean, I almost can't believe it. I almost can't believe it that it's tomorrow. Every time you think about the context of it, it's absolutely mad, isn't it, that you guys are here? We started this project in July, and this is where it's taken us. It's absolutely incredible, and Rangers fans all over the country will be feeling the same way, just shaking themselves every time they start to think about what's at stake here. Right, listen, but we've already gone over time, so we're going to call it a day there. You can still subscribe to the Rangers Review. Go onto the website, rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe. £6 for 6 months. There's a lot of places in the centre if you want a fancy pint of beer that'll cost more than £6 nowadays, unfortunately. So yeah, go and sort that out. It's 6 p.m. CMG 55 tonight, so 7 p.m. Spanish time, 6 p.m. UK time. We shall be going live across Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So
just